Hi, I'm Becky Johnson with Sweetheart Quilt Design Company, and we are here today with another one of our quilt myth busting videos. So the one we're going to talk about today is, do I have to put a diagonal seam in my border? If I have to seam my border pieces to make them long enough, do I have to put a diagonal seam in them? So I've done a lot of research on this. I've asked all the experts, all the quilters out there that do this all the time. And I've had a lot of people insist that you have to put a diagonal seam in, but no one has ever been able to give me a valid reason for doing it. I'm a long arm quilter, so I see a lot of different quilts. And what I've noticed is that a straight seam is not very noticeable. And on a border like this quilt, 6.5 inches, a straight seam is this long. A diagonal seam is this long. And I've also seen a lot of diagonal seams that are messed up to where the quilt actually drops like a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch on the side, which is really hard to put your binding on or sew it to your quilt. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to do a diagonal seam correctly if you want to do that. So I've got a video up for length of fabric, for doing your borders, how to cut them, and also one on working with directional fabrics, which I think is a lot of fun. So if you're going to do a diagonal seam, I'm going to show you how to do it correctly. So you want to take your borders, and I'm not trying to match design with this, and crisscross them. Leave a little bit sticking out so that you can see where they crisscross. The first thing you want to do is put your ruler on them. So I've got my ruler lined up so that it follows this border and the little bit sticking out. And we'll scooch it up and make sure it follows this going straight across. So it's very important that these are at a 90-degree angle, that they're perpendicular to each other. If they're at an odd angle, your border is not going to lay flat. Then you want to take, using a 45-degree line on your ruler, you want to line up from this little V to this little V and draw a line. That's going to be your stitching line. So you put a few pins in it so it won't slip out of place on the way to your sewing machine, and then stitch on that line. Check it, make sure your border's laying straight, and you can trim all this excess off, and then you'll have a straight border. Where you get problems in messed up ones is where these aren't perpendicular, or you stitch them like this, a little bit off, and then you end up with a crooked border. That's very, very noticeable and hard to work with. So that's how to do one correctly. And so if you want to do diagonal borders, that's how you can do it. But don't feel like you're locked in there. You don't have to do diagonal borders. You can do straight seams in a border. They're less noticeable. They're easier to do. If you're going to do a straight seam, all you have to do is lay your borders on top of each other. Trim it, so line up your ruler on the edge, and trim it so they're straight and even, and then just put a regular seam in that and press it to one side, and you've got your seam. Okay, so have fun with that, think about it, and have fun quilting. See you next time.